Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday to all our viewers at the webinar workshop for Rex Bookstore. And we are very grateful for you being part and viewing continuously the different webinar workshops that my Empower Ed team and I have been preparing and have been showing you since last week. So I am now here to present also another another webinar for school leadership and administration. So if you are an educator and a teacher right now, and you're asking why am I here, should I listen to Jim's webinar on school leadership? Yes, you may still listen because this is still this webinar contains a lot of elements about flexible or our learning continuity program for the coming school year. So I hope you continue to view and be part of the workshop. Later on, I will be joined also by my co-presenter, Nico Foss, who will be talking about how online distance learning happens in the Filipino subject. A special greeting to our Muslim brothers and sisters, to our neighbors or members of the school community. Eid Mubarak to our Muslim brothers and sisters. We keep you in our minds and in our heart as you celebrate the end of the Ramadan at this point in time. Okay, so may I just introduce myself again? I am Francis Jim Toscano. I am the founder of Empower Ed. Empower Ed is a personal education advocacy and program that I have founded last year. And you may search Empower Ed in Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram. I also host the Empower Ed podcast, which you can access in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts also. We're very happy. We are consistently charting in the top 100, the top charts of Spotify and Apple Podcast educational charts. So I also work as an EdTech coordinator and a department chairperson in a local school in Metro Manila. I'm also a digital learning and innovation specialist. I continue to help education organizations, schools also, and other businesses on how they can promote digital learning and innovation in their own organization, in their own school, or in their future products and program. I'm also a Global Teacher Prize finalist in 2017. The Global Teacher Prize is a 1 million US dollar competition that recognizes the best teacher of the world. So every year, the Global Teacher Prize opens for nomination. You can visit and know more about this competition among teachers at globalteacherprize.org. I also belong to the global community of Apple Distinguished Educators that continue to foster innovation in education and in technology use. These are the means of contacting me. So you can email me at francisbtoscano@gmail.com. I also have my website. It's www.francisjimtoscano.com. You can also listen. So I will be promoting this again later on because I have a very special guest who will talk with me, who will discuss with me, and I'm pretty sure you'll be hearing a lot from her also. I will reveal the guest later on after our session because our topic is very much connected to the new episode that I will be dropping this week. So you can subscribe to me at Empower Ed Podcast in Spotify or in Apple Podcasts also, or in Google Podcasts. Just look for Empower Ed Podcast with Francis Jim Toscano. All right, so welcome to my session. The new normal is not only about online learning, school leadership in the new normal. But before we go to that session, I'm just very excited to share this to you. This just came in this morning. So I have been working with a team of global educators led by Armand Duchet and Elisa Guerra. Armand Duchet is an educator leader in Canada, and Elisa Guerra is from Mexico. And they have written a book. It's entitled "Hope, Where Are You?" So this is a book. This is a children's book that contains stories of six children around the world, and the story contains longing for the opening of the school, talking about the challenges that they have. At the same time, finding hope in their daily experiences among the people that they encounter every day. And my friend Nico Foss and I collaborated with Armand and Elisa, very good friends of mine at the Global Teacher Prize community. And we have translated the book into Filipino. It's entitled Pag-asa, Nasaan Ka? Maaaring ma-download ang librong ito from the website www.hopewhereareyou.com. This is a free book. And while it is free, if you feel the need to donate, there's a link in the website that I've mentioned to donate through the project. The proceeds of the project will go to UNICEF. UNICEF is a global organization, international organization, and the proceeds will go to helping children at this time of the pandemic. So the stories are there, the book is there. It's up for you to download and enjoy it. You can download the Filipino version and download the English version, and you can use them in your class as we prepare for the next the coming school year. I hope that you are able to use the books Pag-asa, Nasaan Ka in Filipino language and literature class, and maybe Hope, Where Are You for English language and literature class. We will be very, very happy to get in touch with you to see if you have been using it, and to get your feedback and also your suggestion. When you download this, may kindly also share it on Facebook or in social media. You can tag me on Facebook at Jim Toscano. It's also the same with Twitter and Instagram, and we continue interacting on this book. So thank you so much for downloading and for looking into this collaboration. All right. So this is the website that I've mentioned to you, and I hope you get time to really visit this right now. Okay, so we are now going to my session, and I'm gonna try to experiment on something. I don't know how many viewers we have right now, but I want to interact with the viewers that are watching me. So I need you to do something before we start. I want you to go to menti.com. So this is a Mentimeter moment. I don't know if you're very familiar with Mentimeter, but I need you to open your web browser when you're using laptop, or if you're using your cell phone. Go to www.menti.com and use the code that you're seeing right now. And I want you to answer this question in a phrase or using a single word. What comes into your mind when you hear the phrase "new normal"? Okay. So all my viewers out there, go to www.menti.com and use the code. That code in front of you. You may take a screenshot. You may copy it now. What comes into your mind when you hear the phrase "new normal"? So I'm gonna do a live. How do you call that? Let's see if people are answering. Can you see my screen? Okay, I think people can see my screen right now. Yeah. And I see people answering. I have 7 answers, 8, 9, 10. All right. And just keep those answers coming. 15, 17, 20. All right. So just keep those answers coming. We have 40, 45 seconds left. Okay, 84, 86, 89. Okay. And do you see how the cloud, the word cloud is moving? It's changing. Okay, 15 seconds left. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm gonna give another 10 seconds because some people are messaging me. Okay, all right, I understand. We understand the challenges in the internet connection, and I'm also enjoying it. I don't know if you're enjoying it, but if you look at the cloud, it's really moving, and you can see the words that is common. So the bigger the word is, it means that the more people have answered it. So that's the biggest word is the most frequent answer. All right. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So I'm gonna keep this open right now. There are a lot of people who are still answering, and I'm just gonna keep this open for a while. And just really look. Even if we continue gathering people's answer, the word that are coming out, the most frequent words that are coming out is change. It's challenging, online learning, distance learning, technology, changes, right? Very interesting words that are coming, but those I don't think those are surprising, right? It's something that we are expecting right now. I expected change to come out. I expected the word challenging to come out. Online learning is something that we've been hearing. We've been hearing for the longest time. Technology, distance learning. All right. So I'm gonna keep this um, open for another 30 seconds. Okay. There's a countdown that will come out. There's a timer that will show in the screen when you're looking into this. And then it will automatically close. This is an example of something that you could use when you're doing online distance learning. This is Mentimeter, and you just don't want to talk and talk. You want to interact with your students or your participants. So this is a tool that records real-time answer, and this is something that you could use. Oh, welcome to the new normal. This is now how we're doing interaction right now, especially if there's a lot of you who are simply listening at home. Okay. So I'm now gonna move on to my slide, and the website is just opening right now. It's still open right now. So in our Mentimeter activity, you've noticed that a lot of the words that are coming out is are words that include challenges, challenging, change, distance learning, online learning. A lot of things that are very very common in our mindset, in our perspective right now. So what does that mean right now for school leadership? Okay, quick stat before we continue. Education in numbers at this time of the pandemic, just to be aware where we are right now globally, right? Globally, the numbers are from UNESCO. Okay, 1.57 billion affected learners. Okay, this is 90% of total enrolled learners around the world. So the big number really is we only have 10% who are not being affected by the pandemic right now. And 190 countries have enacted school closures, whether it's a whole country or maybe some districts, some cities, some provinces or states. But we don't know that there are 190 countries with school closures. 100 countries have not yet announced a date for schools to reopen. 65 countries have plans for partial or full reopening, and we're one of those countries right now. 32 will end the academic year online. Okay, just to give you a global perspective, in the Philippines, our school calendar normally is June to March, right? But if you look at the other parts of the world, there are varying school calendar. There are calendars that's open in August, September, and in May or April. In some countries like Australia or South Africa, they have a January to around November or December school calendar. So we have a different school calendars right now. And if you open your perspective and step outside of our country, you will find out that there are 32 countries who will end their academic year online, right? 890 million students. School calendar has not yet defined, has never been so undefined right now. So big numbers coming in front of us, really telling us that the pandemic is really changing the way we do things right now. Of course, okay, in the Philippines, we know that there are almost 8.8 million K to 12 students, and we are being affected by the pandemic right now. Almost 900 teachers are gearing up for the new school year. So we've heard a lot from the Department of Education. A lot of things are being done by the Department of Education. I've been in talks with other leaders in the Department of Education, whether national, regional, or local, even with the higher education institutions. And we know that the very certain fact is that we are preparing for it. How we prepare for it really depends on the different steps that we are taking. Higher education institutions are taking is working on their own plans. K to 12 schools are working on their own plans, whether public or private. And a lot of things are to be worked on. A lot of things are to be worked on right now. And therefore, because of these changing times, because of the transition that is happening, because of the changes, and these changes are not just small changes, these changes are very big, some of them very abrupt changes. And therefore, we can always say that we are sailing in an uncharted territory of the new normal, right? So we have these changes, we have the new normal, we have the interagency task force telling us that, hey, this is the new normal right now, and these are the things that you need to do. But for us in the education sector and the rest of the sectors in the society, we are in an uncharted territory. Uncharted means it's out there, it's in front of us, but no one has navigated that yet before us. We're like explorers right now. We're like Dora. We're like Magellan. We're looking into the Great Pacific Ocean without knowing that it's the Great Pacific Ocean. And we have no choice because we want to go to the other side. We have to navigate this new territory. And if we're navigating a new territory, we need to understand that school leadership matters more than ever, right? Teachers look up to the school leaders, parents look up to school leaders and administrators, and really, really see, what's happening right now. How do we proceed? So leaders right now do not just give inspiration. They shed light on how things are going to be done. And I applaud a lot of school leaders right now in the Philippines. There are a lot of school leaders right now, who have put their hearts into their work that they're doing right now. They have less sleep right now because they're thinking of the program that they will have to offer. They have to face the parents because parents have a lot of questions right now. They have to make sense of the new normal. They have to make sense of the new normal that is happening right now. But what is the new normal? This is just a mere definition of a new normal. Physical distancing, contactless transactions, high level of safety precautions, no face-to-face meetings. That means work or learn from home. Only essential transactions or movements are allowed. Again, these are the things that we can do right now. And if we want to go back again, This is an uncharted territory. It's something new. We don't know what's happening, but for sure, we do know that we have to navigate it. And if you want to navigate something, you navigate it with a group of people. You don't do it alone. Diba? Can you imagine going to a new body of water, like a new sea alone? I don't know, baka mamatay ka pa before you reach your destination. So what do we want to happen right now is we want to collaborate. And yet, even if we want to collaborate, we want to look up to our school leaders. And for the school leaders that are listening right now, whether you have been appointed with an official position, like an administrator, or whether you have been tapped, if you're a teacher and you know that you have a leader, deep in your heart you're a leader and you have been tapped by your school to lead the committee or to lead something even without an official position, then I think this is something that I would like you to invite, to listen to and to watch with much openness and openness of mind and heart. So right now, let's talk about what is the new normal and school leadership. Right now we are always talking about online learning. School leaders are deciding on online learning. The new normal is about going online. And yet when we say this, I agree with this. Online learning is very, very important. Technology is very, very important. Right now we can push forward our agenda of using technology, or making sure that we are progressing in the use of technology. But the use of technology, online learning, right now in education is just one option. Because what we want right now is not just to focus on one option. We want to look at, at the plethora of the options that we have so that we can make a better decision that is holistic, that is more inclusive, that is more welcoming. So beyond the talk of online learning, kasi lagi na natin narinig yan, online learning, ano pa ba yung pwedeng gawin ng school leaders, right? What can education leaders continue to work on right now? I will start with the number one idea. In the new normal, true leadership practices empathy to understand the context of the members of the school community. This is the first thing that I would want to happen. In the new normal, I would like to see school leaders practicing empathy. All right? What do we mean by empathy? Empathy is an essential skill for everyone. It is the first step towards creating a relevant and meaningful solution to a problem. I don't know if you've heard this about design thinking, but if you look at the design thinking process, it's one approach that we could use in solving problem. The first step is really empathy. Empathy it could be cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy is when cognitive empathy or emotional empathy. It's when you put yourself in the position of the person that you are talking to. Or if you're making a solution right now, for example, solution for learning continuity program, you put yourself in the position of your students. You put yourself in the position of your learners, of the families, of the context, okay? Of their context. So understand their context, basically. So empathy would require you to step in, right? To feel what they're feeling, to see what they're seeing, to sense what they're sensing. But at the same time, a true school leader does not only waddle or swim in empathy, but school leaders also have the ability to step back again and see things objectively. So while we empathize, we also balance it with the idea of, taking two steps backward, having the ability to be objective so that when you make decisions, you consider everything. Okay? As a school leader, or even as a teacher, or even as for the students, empathy is a very, very important skill. Okay? Empathy is it's a skill that could strengthen other skills. For example, empathy could help you in identifying needs of the people that you're talking to, or emotionally connecting with other people. Empathy also helps you to to know how to keep others feel safe. Okay, empathy also helps you to be creative. Empathy allows you to know how to collaborate with each other. Empathy also allows you to negotiate with other people. So in short, empathy is one of the most essential skills that we have right now. If you want to thrive in the fourth industrial revolution, if you want your students to thrive as learners, or a successful person in the uncertainties of the future, then empathy is something that you would want to develop in them. As school leaders decide on the next steps for the school year, context matters. Okay? Context will tell us, what is really happening with our learners, their parents and their families, right? When we make decisions right now, especially on the learning continuity program, we want that context informs the decision. Of course, context is not just it's not just the loan data that we're using. We look at other data like IATF data, Department of Health data, what else? DILG, all sectors. But we also don't forget to look into to the context of our students. So while we look at context, we also want that the program that we have adapt to the context of the learners. So it's context driven, okay? It's context informed, not driven. It's context informed, but at the same time, the program itself adapt to the context of the learners. So context is very, very important. And I just want to take this moment. I fully understood the meaning of context and I would want to credit it because of my Jesuit education. My Jesuit formators, my Jesuit teachers, my teachers in a Jesuit school in the Philippines. Even right now, I'm teaching in a Jesuit school. Context is very, very important. Even before we design our learning experiences, the first step really is to understand the context of our student. Before we make any decision, explore a problem, then context is something that we need to look into. And for you to understand context, you need to make sure that you have the skills of empathy. All right? So that's for number one. True school leaders practice empathy at this time of the pandemic. What else? In the new normal, true leadership prioritizes Maslow before Bloom. You've heard me speak about this. I feel like, some people would say, ayan na naman si Sir Jim, ayan na naman si Jim, talking about Maslow before Bloom. And I will not apologize for it. Right now, I want you to always remember Maslow before Bloom. As school leaders, effective learning could only happen if there's a sense of security, sense of belonging, sense of safety in our student. However, since we're preparing for it right now, and I want to applaud the Department of Education and even other schools right now. What did they say? Before they go to academic encounters, academic learning, social emotional learning, and psychological processing is something that should happen even before it, right? And yet, while we do Maslow before Bloom, as we progress in the new normal, I hope that it becomes Maslow and Bloom, right? We need both Maslow and Bloom together, all right? So what do we mean by Maslow? For those who are hearing it for the first time, this is based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I don't know, you must have learned about this in psychology or economics, but this is more of the well-being, the safety, non-academic things that we find very, very important to really actualize ourselves or to reach, the potential of ourselves. And yet we know that the Bloom is something that we look into. And yet even before the students can study, we need to make sure that their physiological needs are fulfilled, their safety needs, the sense of love and belonging, self-esteem, all right? So that's very, very important right now. What else? So therefore, school leaders should find ways to support the mental and social emotional well-being of students, teachers, and even fellow school leaders. This is something that we need to give to our school leaders right now. School leaders take care of students, school leaders take care of teachers. But can school leaders also take care of themselves? Maybe there can be a program where school leaders take care of each other. We demand a lot from our school leadership right now, and I sometimes, expect a lot of things to my own school leaders and even the school leaders that I know. But in the end, if you look at these things, at some point we need to make sure that we give our school leaders the space to relax. To relax, we need to make sure that school leaders are being taken care of also. And maybe, of course, this is something that we need to look into. How can we also support school leaders? Kailangan natin din baliktarin yung mentality natin. As educators, we also need to and support, look up to and support our school leaders. So therefore, school leaders, take care of yourself. You also need to take care of each other. So ways to support mental and social emotional well-being right now through calls, audio or video calls. Okay, send messages via email or text. My friend in New York, Dr. Nadia Lopez, introduced me to the idea of teletherapy or telerecollections or even telecounseling. Put yourself online. This is the best time to use Zoom. You don't use Zoom to lecture or just deliver something that the students can read online. You don't use Zoom to have a meeting that they can read through email. Use Zoom to provide counseling. Use Zoom to provide therapy. Use Zoom to provide means of connecting with each other. Okay, not just to teachers, even for the students, even for parents. Helping parents to support their kids at home. Maybe it's time for us to maybe teach parents more, to help parents more navigate how they could do learning from home or even working from home. We really need them. We need to work with them. Of course, when we talk about mental well-being, this is something I'm very inspired by my teachers in the lower grades. So I handle a department, and I just want to give a shout out to the teachers, to the CLE teachers in grade school and Xavier School, especially my kinder, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 teachers. And this is something that I've learned from them. They have what they call as the armor of God or something like that. And I base this to them. We have PPEs. We talk about the personal protective equipments right now, and to grant us, to help us be healthy, physically healthy. Right now, I'm gonna show you this question. What's your emotional PPE at this time of the pandemic, right? So this is not just the usual PPE that we have. What's your emotional PPE? And I got inspired by my teachers in the lower grades in my department. Your emotional PPE could be something like this. What's your hazmat or hazardous material suit of courage? What's your hazmat suit of courage? Do you have goggles of empathy? Right? Do you have gloves of compassion? Do you have a face mask of hope? Do you have a shoe cover of perseverance? This is something that we want to look into. What's your emotional PPE? What are your protective suits, quote and unquote, or goggles of gloves to safeguard your mental and social emotional well-being or health, right? So I found this very helpful. I want to talk to teachers. I want to talk to my students. I can simply say with them, what's your goggles of empathy? Do you have a gloves of compassion right now at this time of the pandemic? Your face mask covers your face, but do you have a face mask of hope that radiates to people who can see you? Do you have a shoe cover of perseverance? How do you persevere? Can you continue hoping and not giving up? Do you have a suit of courage so that when people go to you, when your teachers go to you, they can see courageous decisions that you're making? Okay, and of course we could always stretch this out for our Christian brothers and sisters. Your emotional PPE could be faith, hope, and love. I don't know, or faith, hope, and charity. Right now, it's very, very important to safeguard our mental and social well-being. And of course, don't forget digital well-being, privacy, security, safety, right? We're now talking about digital well-being. At this point in time, a lot of people would come in, a lot of technological companies, they have products, they would come to you and say, we have this kind of technology which can help you in promoting distance learning, flexible learning, or however term we call it. But do not forget, always ask about digital well-being. Always ask about privacy, security, and safety. You know, if something is free, ask them, bakit free ito? Ano yung sustainability approach ninyo? Because there are some tech products who offer themselves for free, but they mine, they take they take information about users. And for us, our users are not simply normal users or ordinary users. Our users are minors. They're minor students. They're young kids. Our teachers. So we need to protect their data privacy also. Okay. So that's it. That's my second idea of what true leadership means. Now let's go to the third one. And I've been talking about this often times already. In the new normal, true leadership upholds equity and empowerment. All right? Equity and empowerment. No student or teacher gets left behind. True leaders ensure equitable access. Everyone should experience learning. Okay? Everyone should be able to teach in the most effective way. The needs of students should be accommodated. And I want this to be directly linked in my next idea. In the new normal, true leadership designs multiple pathways to learning that are informed by data from learners' context. If you've noticed, all the things that I've been really talking about are connected to each other. If you've noticed, if you look at the flow, things are just simply connected. Okay? New normal is not simply about online learning. Yes, online learning is very, very important. We can use this opportunity to push the advances in our technology. However, it is also about undergoing a complete paradigm shift towards distance education. Okay? We've been very, very much focused on fostering face-to-face interaction. And a lot of people would ask, is distance education really effective? Is online learning really effective? Yes, there are a lot of literature. If you go online, if you do your research, there are a lot of literature that says it is effective. But distance education will be only effective if we completely shift the way we think education. Distance education, putting distance education and flexible learning into the traditional mindset of face-to-face interaction is not will not be going will not gonna work, right? When we want to do distance education, whether it's online, whether whatever mode it is, then we have to put ourselves in the paradigm of online distance, or maybe distance education, whether it's online or not. Okay, distance education has its own pedagogical approaches. It has its own ways of looking at assessment, demands a lot of learner support, and it demands a lot of instructional material preparation. So again, when you want to talk about distance education, whether it's effective or not, I challenge you to have a complete paradigm shift. Understand it from the perspective of distance education and not simply on what has been done before. I'm just being honest right now. Some people question, does this distance education really work? Does online distance learning really work? My first question would be, do you have any choice right now? Aside from homeschooling, or maybe letting your sons or your daughters sit out for a moment, not to go and enroll, for the school year, aside from those things, are there any other choices that we have right now? For me, the only choice that we have is to go through distance education, right? And distance education, different modalities could be correspondence. okay, these are the proper terms. I've seen some posters about modalities of learning, but these are the proper terms and I hope we use them properly. When we say modalities, these are the means of delivering distance education. So number one, it's correspondence. Correspondence means via printed learning packets. Modular learning means, dividing things into modules. You deliver them through modules. Modular, it's not the same with modalities. Okay? Modular approach means you divide all your lessons, all your curriculum into modules. You could do online modular learning. You could do broadcast modular learning. You can do printed modular learning. Okay? But right now, we use the proper terms, modalities. Number one, correspondence via printed or learning packets. They could be delivered, okay, delivery system or pickup system. Of course, you could also have broadcast via local TV or radio stations, and also online distance learning or full or blended or hybrid. Okay, now I'm just gonna stop sharing at this moment. I know there are a lot of ideas coming in right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop. I'll give you time to breathe so that you'll be ready with your questions also. All right. Okay, are we now all ready to get back? All right. So the fifth important mark of leadership. In the new normal, true leadership supports, trains, and even trusts teachers because teachers are now the new frontliners in the pandemic. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Teachers are the new frontliners and the future heroes of the pandemic. There's a lot of teachers will be, undergoing a lot of trainings, and they will have to go beyond, above and beyond the call of duty. And this is something that I want to continue, pushing. Okay, our society should value teachers more than ever because teachers go above and beyond the call of duty. And I'm just gonna go back to my idea again. We need to support teachers. We need to train teachers, and we need to trust teachers. Right now, teachers are not just simply curriculum implementers. What's happening right now is we prepare everything for teachers, we give them everything, and they just simply implement it. No. What we want to happen right now is we want them to design their own learning experiences of the new normal. Okay? Why? Because they know their students better. At this time of the pandemic, our teachers become, they are our, how do you call that? They are our eyes on what's happening in the community. So we need to trust our teachers as of this moment. They need to go beyond curriculum implementers. They need to be designers of their learning experiences. Whether they're doing it online or, doing things learning packets, they have to contextualize everything. So we need to give a sense of trust to our teachers. We need to give a sense of trust to our teachers so that they'll be able to do their work. And of course, lastly, this is something that I would want to push forward. In the new normal, true leadership is a product of visionary leadership and shared leadership. What do you mean by that? A visionary leadership ensures that there is a real vision and opens for shared leadership to help pave the path towards the new vision. Visionary leadership could be for those who are in the position of, having official position by the school, your top administrators, your top leaders. What is shared leadership? Shared leadership is a kind of leadership that can come from the bottom. Okay? Shared leadership could come from the idea of
Shared leadership could come from the idea of involving teachers, giving them a sense of being a leader so that they can help in making the vision real. Hello, I think.
I hope I'm back. I think I was disconnected. Sorry for that. So the solution to the challenges that we have right now is not on the hands of just one person, one leader or one teacher. Okay, it is on the hands of every member of the school communication. So collaboration is the key. That's the idea of true leadership. Okay, visionary leadership and shared leadership. The work is not only in the hands of our top leaders. We can also take advantage, of the leaders that we have among our educators. There are educators right now who do not need positions, who do not need to become administrators to become real leaders. What we want to happen right now is we would tap on the leadership skills of our teachers as of this moment, at this time of the pandemic. A lot of our teachers are stepping up, going beyond the call of duty. So I hope and I pray that we tap on the educators right now, the leaders in our educators, so that we can look into the big idea of marrying visionary leadership, making sure that there's a vision, and shared leadership that will make vision the vision concrete or real. So I there are a lot of things that we can talk about school leadership right now, but in just a few words, and I just want to end this with this picture. You've seen this online. Maybe you've seen this online, and this could have broken your heart or pushed you to reflect or bothered you to reflect. But this kind of reality, has this reality been happening even with or without pandemic? Has this been the case in our schools right now? Okay, or in our education right now? But for sure, the pandemic has made this digital divide, the haves and the have-nots, more real, more apparent. So as we continue on making decision on the education learning continuity program that we have right now, I hope that this picture, this is just one picture that looks into the different realities that we have right now. And I would dare say that the pandemic, it's a litmus test of true school leadership right now. And I want to end this webinar session, this my discussion right now, before we go to open forum, that this will really test what it means to be a true school leader. The pandemic is a litmus test for true school leadership. And we hope that our school leaders emerge successfully, not overnight, not perfectly. Remember, I don't say perfectly. There are school leaders who would learn along the way. But what we want right now is that that our school leaders continue to learn from our experience, from their experiences, to open for more collaboration also. And what's my fitting ending? My fitting ending right now would be to invite you to post your question for an open forum. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen right now, and I will now answer some questions. So thank you for listening to the discussion. And I have some questions right now with me. This is from Sherwin Teves. What is your opinion with some schools who practice business as usual in this time of the pandemic? And Sherwin, this is my very straightforward answer. I don't think those schools know what it means to run a school at this time of the pandemic. Business as usual for schools. Hopefully, when they made this decision, I hope that they look into the different areas of different sectors, different areas. If they're doing business as usual, I hope that there's a big, deeper reason, greater reason behind it. But right now, maybe looking at the localities, looking at the things that are happening around us. I hope that that business as usual idea is not simply because we want to do business, right? We have to make sure that we take care of ourselves at this time of the pandemic. So while we do business as usual, sana po na consider ang lahat ng mga bagay-bagay. Kung ang school na ito ay nasa isang quarantine thing, and they're doing business as usual, then I think they need to be talked about and they need to be called for what they're doing also. But because they're going beyond what the IATF is telling people. Okay? This is from RD Olapani. How could we determine the effectiveness of distance online learning compared to face-to-face learning? Again, is there really a choice right now? Number one, I need you to go online, search for studies. There are a lot of studies about online distance learning. I have done, I'm doing my master's right now through online distance learning in UP University of the Philippines Open University. There are a lot of literature. So you need to go online, do your own work, do your own homework. At this point in time, do you have a chance to compare face-to-face and online distance learning? I don't think we have a choice right now because we cannot even do face-to-face learning. So if you're a school leader and you want to do a comparison, go online. Search. There are a lot of literature. Okay? And of course, along the way, while you're doing online distance learning or whatever for distance learning, gather data, gather feedback from your parents, gather feedback from your teachers, and from your students also. Okay? Mitch Ogatis, how do we encourage technology-averse teachers to shift to distance learning? Number one, right now, as school leaders, you need to make a firm decision and say, this is the program, we need to follow this. Number one, if there are teachers who are averse to using technology for distance learning, then ask them for their other option. And of course, you could do this in a very diplomatic manner. You could always ask them why they're feeling that way, why they are averse. And if they have other options, ask them to contribute. As of right now, what we want to happen is just, teachers do not simply say no. You need to ask teachers to contribute. If they don't want technology, ask them to contribute a solution. Right now, we will appreciate alternative solution. People cannot just simply say no because they don't want to. I think that's very selfish. As educators, simply saying no because just you simply personally do not want to, that's very selfish. And I'm telling that as an educator. Okay? But again, we want to include everyone. So the more diplomatic way is to ask them. It's to encourage and to convince them. Maybe there's a deeper reason behind that no. Okay? Maybe because they tend to compare themselves. Or maybe because school leaders are too hard on teachers, that they don't give teachers a chance to commit mistakes. Look into it. Maybe the school culture has something to do with it also. Does the school promote openness, openness to committing mistakes? Or maybe are the school leaders very, very strict that there's no room for mistakes to happen? And if we want to have teachers right now to do a lot of technology at this time of the pandemic, then we must make sure that there are avenues for teachers to make up, to learn from their mistake also. Growth mindset, grit, perseverance. Put those things into action right now. Okay? From Janet C. Colobo, teachers' positive attitudes must be enhanced. But what if these teachers would just lead back to saying it's difficult and hindi ko kaya attitude? I think I've answered that a while ago. Okay, how can our leaders in the school or in the department show their leadership skills, concerns, care, love for their subordinates, for the people they lead in the pandemic? I think, Arlene, that's just the point of my discussion a while ago. So those are the things that I've mentioned. Practice empathy, practice collaboration, tap on the leadership skills of your students. So those are the things that I have right now. So, and one more question, how can we effectively support student well-being during this crisis? By John Ralph Lagran, Montreal. Yeah, I discussed things about I discussed this extensively a while ago. Look at emotional well-being, look at social emotional support, reach out, reach out, talk to people. Instead of just simply using your data to TikTok or whatever, or go to social media, why not, call them up, call people, call your students, call your teachers, foster, they say physical distancing, not social distancing, physical distancing, because right now we need to be socially be close to each other. Okay, call up. I'm pretty sure you know the answers to it. Call, email, send a message via Messenger or Viber. We know those things. We just need to do them. Right now, what do we want as school leaders? We want school leaders who do not simply inspire, who does not only take care of people. We want school leaders who walk the talk. We want school leaders who model what they're saying to us, right? And of course, but again, we also want to think about our school leaders. For educators, teachers, parents, or even children listening right now, school leaders are doing a lot of things. Okay? They're doing a lot of things for our school communities. Therefore, we must also take care of them. A teacher could say hi to your department chair, ask your principal how they are, extend your support to them. This is not just a one-way street. This is a two-way street. It's a collaboration. It's a work among people. And again, I just wanna end this. There are a lot of questions right now, and I'm sharing my screen again. And I want to invite everyone. Could you please go and open your Apple Podcast or Spotify? Subscribe and listen to my podcast. And our discussion on the new normal will continue. And I'm very, very proud and happy to share that I have a very special episode. This will be the 50th episode of my podcast, of my radio show in Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I'm pretty sure you know Dr. Dina Ocampo. She was a former education undersecretary in the Philippines. She's now a professor in the College of Education in the University of the Philippines. And, she's been a really good mentor and, a guide to me personally also. I've worked with her in different projects, right? In different projects, and I continue to be collaborating with her in a lot of projects right now. And I have an episode that will drop, that will come out this week. So I want you to not miss this episode. So subscribe and listen to my podcast. Dr. Dina Ocampo and I will be continuing the discussion of the new normal in education. What are the opportunities that we can look into? What are the challenges that we could look into? So I hope that you wait for this discussion. You could also go to my website, www.francisjimtoscano.com, for a lot of updates on our discussion on the pandemic and its effect on the education system. So right now, I just want to end this with words of gratitude. Thank you for being here, for being here and viewing and listening to my live discussion. This has been so much productive. Thank you for working with me on the Mentimeter. And for the school leaders out there, we are continuing our support to you. We also keep you in our hearts and in our mind. You're doing a great job. So continue pushing for new things that would happen in the new normal. For our teachers, let us continue to support our school leaders. For parents out there, we want you to collaborate with school leaders. Right now, it's not simply a one-man show. It's the work of everyone in the school community. And with that, I end my session right now. And my friend Nico Foss will go on after me at around 11 a.m. Thank you so much and goodbye. Happy Sunday. Have a blessed day, everyone.